Sairam, everyone. I'll request Sister Kalyani to summarize what we discussed last week and then we can get started. Thank you.
Sairam, so where we left off, Swami was describing how the religion of the Bharatas is different from all other religions of the world because they don't rely on any text or discourse involving human agency as their authority. The religion of the Bharatas relies on the Vedas, and the Vedas are self-evident or self-authoritative. And Swami went on to talk about the Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda of the Vedas. He was saying that the Karma Kanda basically shows the feelings of the Jnana Marga in the form of various rites and rituals. And although many of those were given up, some of them still exist today in some form or the other. And the Karma Kanda focuses on the dharma of humans and their duties based on their various stages of life and positions in society. And in the Jnana Kanda, the supreme goals and feelings, Paramartika Bhavamu, they are found at the end of the Vedas. And Swami describes it as the pinnacle of the Vedas, the essence of the Vedas, and the supreme meaning of the Vedas. And Swami said this is called the Upanishads. And whether they're dualists, qualified non-dualists, or non-dualists, worshippers of Shiva, worshippers of Vishnu, worshippers of Shakti, the sun, or Ganesha, everyone must accept the Vedas as the authority. Although each may interpret the Upanishads differently, and they have full freedom to do that, but no one has the freedom to reject the authority of the Vedas. And Swami, in the last few sentences that we read, Swami was saying how into the nation of Bharat, the Upanishads have so completely and deeply penetrated. And even in the idols or the vigrahas that are worshipped, it's actually the Upanishads that are being worshipped. And in the homes and in the temples, it's actually the Upanishads that decorate the altars of worship there. Sairam.
Thank you, Sister. Just wanted to check if anyone has any additional points, inputs to share on this topic. Okay, there is Sister, would you or Sister Vani read through on the
Yes.
The Jnana Kanda is called Vedanta, or the end of the Vedas, the goal, the finale. The Jnana Kanda is enshrined in the Upanishads. The adherents of the Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and Advaita schools of philosophical thought, the worshippers of Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Surya, and Ganapati all accept the supreme authority of the Vedas. They may interpret the Upanishads and other texts according to their own predilections and intellectual caliber, but no one dare question the authority of the Veda or the Vedanta. So it is possible to use the words Hindu, Bharatiya, or Vedantin to the same person. The various schools of philosophical thought current at the present time may appear difficult to comprehend or as derived from unripe understanding. But when the matter is thought over in quiet, or the texts are studied in silence, or investigated without prejudice, it will become clear that they have all relied on the points raised and the conclusions arrived at in the Upanishads. The Upanishads are being symbolized and worshipped in the image form in temples and in private shrines as a tribute to this universal appeal. They have entwined themselves inseparably in our lives.
Thank you, sister. Just checking if anyone. Yes, Sanjayana, I know last time you had a question at the end of our session. Yeah, please go ahead.
I apologize. I don't know if I remember what that question was, but I do have a different question. If we can read the Telugu line that corresponds to these two English line, they may interpret the Upanishads and other texts according to their own predilections and intellectual caliber, but no one dare question the authority of the Veda or the Vedanta. And the next line also. So it is possible to use the words Hindu, Bharati, or Vedantin to the same person. If you can read the Telugu sentence that correspond to that, please.
Okay, Sairam.
Yes, Auntie.
Yeah. ఎవరి ఇష్ట ప్రకారము వారు ఆయా ఉపనిషత్తులకు అర్థములు వేరువేరుగా చెప్పుకొనవచ్చును. వారికి ఆ విషయమున పరిపూర్ణ స్వేచ్ఛ గలదు. కానీ వాని ప్రామాణికతను అంగరింపకుండు స్వేచ్ఛ ఎవరికి లేదు. Nobody can reject the authority of the Vedas. They can interpret the Vedas in any way, Upanishads in any way they want. కావుననే ఇక్కడ హిందూ శబ్దమునకు భారత శబ్దమునకు వేదాంత శబ్దములను ఉపయోగించుకొనుచున్నాము. Is it enough, Sanjay ji?
Yes, Auntie. The second sentence, how does that translate exactly?
You mean కానీ వాని ప్రామాణికతను అంగరింపకుండు స్వేచ్ఛ ఎవరికి లేదు. They have no freedom to reject the authority of the Vedas. That's what you want to know?
Yes, and just to clarify, this only applies to the worshippers of Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Surya, and Ganapati that Swami refers to in the previous line, or does it apply universally? What is Swami saying here?
Previous sentence says about Upanishads, Sanjay. So Swami is talking about the authority of the Vedas, authority of the Upanishads cannot be rejected by anyone. Whether they are Dvaitas, Vishishtadvaitas, Advaita, or the worshippers of Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Surya, all accept. That is it.
Okay. And the next line, so it is possible to use the words into that sentence?
Which one?
The next sentence.
ఇప్పుడు వ్యాప్తిలో, that's what you want to know?
No, it is possible to use the words Hindu, Bharati, or Vedantin.
Yeah, correct. కావుననే ఇక్కడ హిందూ శబ్దమునకు భారత శబ్దమునకు వేదాంత శబ్దములను ఉపయోగించుకుంటున్నారు. Swami is using these words for Hindu shabda. He is using the word Bharata and Vedanta. Such words are used for the sake of Hindu. The word Hindu. Synonymous.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, Auntie.
No problem.
So the words, sorry, that sentence says the words Vedanta and Bharata are used for the word Hindu, is that right?
Hindu. Yeah, that's what it is. Hindu shabdamunaku. Ikkada Hindu shabdamunaku for the word Hindu, Bharata shabdamunaku word Bharata and Vedanta. శబ్దములను ఉపయోగించుచున్నాము. We are using these words. We mean Swami. Swami is using these words.
So essentially, is it safe to conclude that one cannot call himself or herself a Hindu unless they accept the authority of the Vedas?
Yeah, I think so. That's what it means. Isn't
Or also anyone who accepts the authority of the Vedas, irrespective of whether they are in the born in the geographical context of India, is a Bharatiya or a Hindu, provided they accept the authority of the Vedas. That's safe to conclude that. I know in the past, in the earlier chapter, Swami has said the one who accepts the ideas of Sanatana Dharma as the mother and the geographical boundaries of India as the father is a Bharatiya. Here, Swami is adding that anyone who accepts the authority of the Vedas also as a Bharatiya or a Hindu. I guess it's part of the Sanatana Dharma only, I guess.
Whoever follows Sanatana Dharma, wherever he is, wherever he lives, beyond the borders of India also, he is Hindu, that's all. He is Sanatani.
Okay.
Outside India, so many, we are all outside India, but we are following the same Sanatana Dharma. So I don't think there is any objection to it.
And just adding on top of that, I think the roots of Sanatana Dharma are established in the Vedas. So that way, I think, when again Swami is saying whether you say a person is Hindu or a Bharatiya, essentially they have to be established in the Vedas as a Vedantin, and that's how they become a Bharatiya, Hindu, or a person who is a proponent of the Sanatana Dharma or that way of life. Any other thoughts or inputs on this paragraph?
When Swami's saying that they have full, complete freedom to interpret the Upanishads the way they like, is that also like how when we are all reading, Swami's literature and listening to Swami's discourses, we may each of us have our own interpretation of that. But I always thought that sometimes that causes some confusion and, if we interpret it wrong, there may be some problem with that. But is there such thing as interpreting the Upanishads in a wrong way, or?
No. So full freedom is given to all the commentators like, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and Shankaracharya. All the Advaitins, they interpreted, each one has interpreted the Upanishads in their, according to their belief. Yeah, so for example, Dvaiti, he will interpret the Upanishads according to Bhagawan is different and I am different. Everything, whatever is written in Upanishad, they will interpret it according to that. They believe in it. So also even Vishishta Advaita. So Advaita comes to Shankaracharya's Advaita. Those who have really studied Advaita, they will interpret Upanishad according to the belief that there is non-dualism. That's the way how they interpret. But all are accepted. All are accepted. Yeah. Even today, everything is accepted. Sai Ram.
Thanks, Auntie. Yes, Brother Shivdas.
No. Kalyani's question is different. Actually, Sister Manivasyam correctly interpreted, but I am saying is her question is the Kalyani's question. Any whims and fancy takes us any way we interpret it. Is it correct? No, it cannot be correct. It cannot be correct. This only this limited to these three types of philosophy. Yeah, you cannot go beyond that. There is no beyond that. This is because all three are in the Upanishads already. So the freedom is to that level only. Freedom is restricted to that particular areas which is already current. Now, if you come and find out another new way, it is not acceptable, and Baba doesn't say that one. Yeah.
Thanks, brother. Anyone?
Kalyani
Yeah.
says that Swami's discourses are also interpreted in different ways. It's causing. It's according to their own way of explaining it. People are explaining it, but let us take it what Swami is saying. That's the exact way what he wants us to understand. Sairam.
Thanks, Auntie. Yes, Sister Anandi.
Sairam, in this particular context, the Hindu means more than the religious sector, Hinduism, or maybe the Indian Bharatiya is more than the maybe the different different people in India, because otherwise I thought Hindu is one of the religious sector in India. The Christianity or the Muslims, the other religions are also there. Also, that's why I am little confused, or maybe I didn't get the understanding or essence of this one. So how can we maybe reconcile in this particular context that the words Hindu is equivalent to Vedantic philosophy, or the Vedantin, for the same person. So what about the other people? If they follow the Sanatana Dharma, they could be Vedantis too. So am I missing something here?
Thank you for that question, sister. So I think Sister Anandi's question is...
Sairam.
Yes, Auntie.
I think you should explain the word how Hindu, the word came from the Indus Valley civilization when people go to that story and just explain a little bit so that Sister Anandi will understand why the word Hindu came. Sairam.
Yes, Auntie. And maybe you can add to this because one is, I'll just come to Sister Anandi's question. I just wanted to add to what Sister Kalyani and had raised and then come to this one. I think from the context of what we discussed earlier, we always have what was mentioned. There is nothing wrong. There is only good, better, and best. That was what was described. But then again, in the parlance of where the scope for misinterpretation of the Upanishads can come, where people can start going beyond the three ideologies of Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, or Dvaita comes in. Even if whether we are looking at Swami's discourses and so on, I think it comes back to the terminology that human beings are, like, say, are Ananda Pipasi. They are in search for that bliss. So whether we talk in terms of Dvaita of the ant and the sugar, or in terms of Vishishtadvaita of the sugar cube, or in terms of Advaita of the sugarcane juice, so long as the effort is made by the sadhaka to seek the sweetness behind that ideology in terms of the eternal bliss, then it will lead them in the correct interpretation, even if initially they start on something that is on a lower note. By repeated, like it is the same taruva taruva puttu kind of a thing, where if we keep doing that sadhana of the manana and nididhyasana, then the interpretation that may start on a lower or may not be directly congruent to that ideology, it will still lead one to that, so long as there's the what Shirdi Baba also would say, Shraddha Saburi. So while there is a danger of starting on a misinterpretation, but then a person going west can always be guided to going east because the sincerity of the pursuit exists. So just wanted to add to that. And to Sister Anandi's question, it was called Haindava Matam, and that was based on the Indus, like what we had the Indus Valley civilization with all of the Indus River flowing, and anyone beyond that region, it was referred to as Haindava Mata. And here in this context, when Swami is talking about Hindu, he's not talking about the religion per se, because Swami would say religion is split of love and spirituality is the spirit of love. So that spirit of love is what is the Sanatana Dharma or the Bharatiya. Bharatiya also, if you know, it will go to Bhava, Raga, Tala, that kind of a thing. The essence, what Sanjay Anna mentioned earlier also, it's not about just a geographical boundary. It is far more encompassing and who is rooted in that Vedantic thought or philosophy, which is where it leads to a broader understanding of what one is foundationally based on. So it's not just like what you're saying, sister, what you mentioned about whether it is Hinduism, Christianity, that kind of a framework, though it appears that we are referring to that um, uh, Hindu matam kind of a thing, but actually it is based on something that is eternal, which is the Vedas. And because it is based on something that is eternal, it is not restricted to people who are defined by a geographical boundary or a rigid ideology. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what.
Thank you so much, brother. I really like the split of love and the spirit of love. That explanation it brought to me in the different light in me. Now I understand that the a little bit of story that the Manivashyam auntie they referred to you to tell. That also maybe that background also. Now it has cleared to me. Thank you so much, brother. I really like that explanation. The split of love in accordance with the geographical sectors, the spirit of love, that really denotes the Sanatana Dharma. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. Any other inputs or? Yes, Sanjayana.
Sairam Satish, I did remember the question. Though Swami did answer it through the week. I think in the Telugu, and that's lost in the English translation. That's why it did not immediately flash in front of me when we read through this. In the Telugu, I think Swami says it's the same jnana that's infused and suffused in all of the karma kanda. Correct. And so I think the question I had was, in general, in all of the karmic rituals, karma that is performed, there are a lot of reasonings and validations and that people ascribe to some of these rituals, right? How do we know what is the right thing? What is the litmus test to know what is the right reasoning that is used? And because Swami does talk about the ultimate jnana being serving as the foundation for most of these karmas. So how do we know? Sometimes it gets adulterated, it's got corrupted through the ages, and how do we make sure that the right reasoning is being used for the performance of certain karmas? That was the question I had. Or that was the question I had asked last week, yes.
Thank you, Anna. So I see Sister Jyoti, I think she's put me define the term Hindu through 5 letters. Oh, okay. So okay. Humility, individuality, nationality, divinity, and unity. He emphasizes that true Hinduism is a universal, ancient, and Sanatana, timeless faith centered on love for all, non-dualism, Advaitam, and self-realization. Thank you, sister.
So it is Swami defines Hindu as that. Sorry, it came as me.
Me, okay.
Swami
Okay,
defines. Sorry about it. I think the word swa went away.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, sorry about it. Yeah. So I thought if we see this Hindu definition, we understand it's not just the Hindu people, what we in general take the religious this as such, but it's a wider perspective when Swami is referring Hindu is here.
Thank you, sister. I think that also caters to what Sister Anandi was asking about. So, Sister Anandi, that I think it becomes an abbreviation for the word Hindu. So, yeah. So coming back to what Sanjay Anna had asked, how do we know what's the true spirit behind any karma, any of that ritual that is being done so that people are able to essence the jnana behind the karma? Yes, Brother Dasan.
Yes, I am, brother. So under the Karma Kanda, so it's clearly explained that the only issue is we don't know how to understand that one. So that's what Swami is saying. Nobody cannot, no one criticize whatever is on the Vedas. So Vedas, we have all the answers how to do the speech, whatever it could be anything, any jatna or any spiritual things, everything written there. That's what the Upanishads explain in a clear, understandable language for us to everyone to understand. And that is the Karma Kanda. It's talking about Dharma, and that Jnana Kanda is the knowledge, because we need to know the knowledge also in order to do the Dharma. So everything clearly explained, and nobody reject that one, whatever you are believe, but they can understand Upanishads in a different way of in an angle. But Vedas, everyone can, nobody so far, nobody criticize or anything. So thank you very much, brother. That's all.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for sharing. So I think one of the stories Swami tells that one person is performing a puja or a ritual, and as he's performing that, one cat runs into that place and starts jumping around. So this person does not know what to do. He takes that cat and ties it to a post, and he continues with his ritual. And there is the son of this person who is watching this, and then he feels, oh, actually, this is part of the ritual. So next time when he grows up and he's conducting this ritual, every time he finds a cat, he will tie it to the post and do that ritual. So now the thing, I think where Sanjay Anna's question is coming from is, how do we know, like for this boy who's been doing that thing, he will think that is part of the ritual, and he will think that that has been prescribed by the Vedas and so on, because my father also did it, and somebody may claim that even their great grandfathers also did it. So many times things get adulterated without knowing the true meaning behind what is that ritual meant for and so on. So how do we know when a ritual is being performed, it is truly performed with that, seeking that jnana behind that ritual and not getting lost in the ritual per se? Yes, Sister Vani.
Sairam, brother. So I had an opportunity to follow up with Brother Arno last week when he referred me to Prashnottara Vahini. And there was a question asked of Swami, that jnana karma. So Brother Arno said that, and there is also another section where Swami is talking about the karma kanda is for beginners, for the undeveloped. Jnana Kanda is for the more advanced and developed intelligences. So brother said that we fall under Karma Kanda, but striving to achieve the Jnana Karma, which is defined by Swami. Jnana Karma is the name used for all acts done to learn from sacred scriptures or elders or teachers the way to escape from the bondage to duality and to the falsity of the world, and to develop faith in the values of Satya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema. All acts that lead to the merging of the individual in the universal absolute. So I would say that for Brother Sanjay's question, that if we make all our karmas as jnana karma to leading to merge with the universal absolute, that we practice the values, and we so it doesn't matter whether we are learning the sacred scriptures and doing our rituals, but our goal is to escape from the bondage and to merge with the universal absolute.
Thank you, sister. Any other points or inputs for that question?
So, brother Sai, Sadish, you must continue, finish it. You stopped it, no? The cat business. So, the people follow wrong. They follow wrongly the rituals. So, even Baba was speaking in many discourses also about this. This is a very dangerous thing. So, it's diluted and adulterated and comes in a different form. So it will not give good for anybody, even for the people who are doing or for other people. So they actually, that is what Bhagavan, I think, that he established Prasanthi Vidban Mahasabha and so many Pandits. So only we have to go to those Pandits, and other Pandits have to go to them and get the things cleared, which is correct or not. No? So it is a difficult task to correct it, but Baba wants us to go to the original source and the people who are well versed in that and get that cleared and do the correct way. No? You will complete, but I just wanted to. Just wanted to, you were missing, so that's what.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Sitaram.
Sai Ramanna. So I think it's a very interesting question which comes across all the rituals, not just Vedas related rituals. It could be bhajans, it could be seva activities, it could be any activity that we do every day. Am I doing it right? Am I going in the right direction or not? So very well thought question. As I thought about how do we take that, one perspective that I can share is I think there are two levels to it. One is like that small boy who had faith in his father, thinking that this is part of the ritual, and hence keeping that cat under the basket or whatever. I think Swami's story was keeping that cat under the basket and still continuing those marriages. Marriage ceremonies is what that pujari is doing, and his son and his grandson also continues to do that, to a stage where somebody comes and questions, today we do not have a cat, can we still perform marriage or not? So without the cat, marriage cannot be performed, is what that grandson says. But there are two ways to look at it. One is because he has not put effort to understand why the cat was firstly put in the place, he continues to have faith in his grandfather's vision of having a peaceful marriage, and hence cat also falls in that devotional aspect of his faith, and it continues to give the great result, which is moving towards God. The second perspective which brother Shivadas was mentioning is where each of us must put effort, go through Swami's literature or go to the respective expert, do your own investigation, do inquiry, and then get to the root of that karma and then get jnana out of it. So that is tarva tarva. If you are not capable of doing that, we will be capable at some point of time by continuing to follow the instructions that we received from our elders. That is how I'm taking it, because I think karma is something which will change, which is impermanent, and hence we talk about different versions of the same yajna that has been done for yugas and yugas. However, the jnana remains permanent, which is rasa of everything, and hence it goes as an undercurrent which cannot be changed, which cannot be touched, but can only be touched by going deeper and deeper into the karma, by performing the karma. So I thought I'll stop there, but I don't know if it made sense. But again, Swami is bhava priya, not bahya priya. As long as that spirit of love is maintained, I think the karma is anyway posted to the destination. Sairam.
Thank you, Sitaram. Any other points? Yes, Sister Vani.
Sahiram, brother. So we also had the chance to discuss about this topic a little at the center discourse review today, and we were talking about this bhava priya, that how we perceive sometimes, when Swami is saying we cannot measure our progress in spirituality by external factors, for example, attending bhajans or chanting Rudram, etc. But we can only assess by ourselves, and we know from within and not through any external things. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Sister. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sairam, I like the way Brother Sitaram has explained. Every rituals we do, as Swami also has said, right, we have to understand the inner meaning, just not the outer meaning. So always that will tell you whether that is right or not. Your conscious has to say, oh, this is the reason I'm doing it, or this is the reason I'm chanting it, this is the name about. So this is something that is comes as a jnana, a karma kanda, as we studied before. The jnana kanda is embedded in it. So we really, anything that we do, we have to understand why we are doing. That way we will come to know every action whether it's right or not. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sister. Any other points? Okay, maybe I'll just add to what others have already shared. There is another story Swami talks about Paramananda Sishyas. So the Guru has told his disciples that day that whatever puja you do, you should do it uninterrupted. You should continuously focus on it and do that activity, come whatever may. And then this Guru, some other disciples and devotees have called him. So he goes to that place. He leaves the ashram, he goes there. He has his meals there and he's come back to the ashram. This Guru is bald headed, so it's hot, very hot. The sun is blazing, and this Guru comes back and he is standing outside the door. This disciple, in the meantime, what he has done after the Guru has gone, he has sat in the shrine, he keeps the photo of that Guru and he's doing all Ashtotram and Sahasranamam, all that he's doing. This Guru comes back and knocks on the door and says, "Open the door. It is very hot outside. I want to come inside." And then the disciple says, "No, no, Guru. You told me that I should do anything that I take uninterrupted. I should do. So please wait outside. I cannot get up and come and open the door to let you inside. I have to do this activity uninterrupted." And whom is he praying to? He's praying to that same Guru who is standing outside. He's kept his photo only and he's doing all that. And then Swami says, using that example, how we only look at what is said, the words, what is said, and we stick with that word. Do we make the effort to see the spirit that is behind that word? Do we make the effort to see the spirit behind that thing of what that cat under the basket was being done? I think that part is only what guides a person, even if they start with something that is very, very, for a child. So there are even stories where a juggler goes every day in front of Christ, and then he says, "I don't know any other thing. All I know is the juggling," and he does his juggling in front of Christ and goes. Or we know of Kannappa Nayanar's story. He goes up to Shivalingam and then he just pours water from his mouth. He keeps the meat in front of Lord Shiva. And for anybody else, it could be big apacharam. But the day he sees Lord Shiva's eye bleeding, he cuts out his eye and keeps on the eye that is bleeding. And then when the other eye also starts bleeding, he keeps his leg on that idol there and then uses that as a mark to cut out his eye. So what we need to see is, ultimately, are we caught up at the level of the basic physicality of things? And is it binding us to a level, or is it liberating us? Anything that liberates us and takes us deeper on the connection inside, then essentially that ritual or that karma kanda, because it is being tarua, because it is being drilled deeper and deeper, the same karma will essentially lead to the jnana, because that borewell will result in water coming out. But has it been done with that spirit, or only at the physicality of getting that ritual done or that marriage done and so on? So if it is done to a level where one is able to go beyond the action and see the reason behind that action, the purpose behind that action, and see how it ultimately leads one to sense the divinity within, then jnana itself reveals. But then the time and effort spent so much is just purely on the karma. That person may finish this ritual and move on to another ritual. The moving from one ritual to another may be a source of livelihood for that priest, rather than going beyond and essencing the divinity. So every action that is being done, is it being done just for the joy of that activity or as a checkbox for the sake of some purpose that is being taken care of? Or is it helping me in the long-term journey towards the inner self? If it's a short-term benefit, it will read short-term result. But if it is long-term effort, then it pays off by ultimately the water coming off from the borewell, because it has been drilled so deep with so much intensity and effort that it yields water. Yes, Sitara.
Sairamanna, very nice explanation. I think I just wanted to integrate that with the last question which came up on Hindu. And I think how Swami is defining Hindu in a different context is, he says in Telugu, Himsaku Duramaga Unnavadu Hinduvu, which means someone who is far from violence. Someone who averts away from the violence is called a true Hindu. And like I think Satish Anna, like you mentioned, Hindu that Swami is mentioning here is not religious based term. It is someone who has complete faith in Vedas and performing everything with Vedas as the foundation, right? I thought I'll just add that. And another example, as you mentioned about short-term and long-term effort comparison, Swami gives a beautiful example of a clock which has seconds hands, minutes hands, and hours hands, right? So it has three different hands or legs, whatever we call. The seconds, Swami tells, they move so quickly, and it is compared to karma marga, every ritual that we do every day, repeatedly across the same clock. Then comes the minutes hand, which is compared to bhakti marga. As we continue to do those 60 seconds, 60 seconds, 60 seconds, you've got 3 minutes. So the movement of bhakti within towards ourselves, towards the inner self, comes more and more by doing that churning of the same action again and again with love. And as those minutes move from 1 to 2 to 3 to, that is when I think after 60 minutes, the hour's hand moves by one single movement, 1 hour. And that is jnana that we are gaining as we are doing both karma with bhakti. So I think we can imagine what level of karma we should do, with how much rigor and with how much bhakti, that will result in this much of jnana. Stop there, Sairam.
Thank you, Sitaram. Very nice.
Saira,
Yes, uncle.
I'm remembering the story in Bhagavatam of Krishna and the Gopikas. They travel to the neighboring village, and the young Gopikas are very hungry. They're asking Krishna, "We want food. We are hungry." And Krishna says, "Go to the place there and ask the men for food. Those people are do yagnas only. They don't really believe in God. They believe only doing the yagnas. So when they go to them, they chase them away. Get out of here. Till we finish the puja, no food." Then they come back to Krishna, and Krishna says, "Don't go there. Go to the inside where the ladies are cooking." So then they went to the ladies, and immediately all the ladies brought all the food to the Krishna. So, and then the Gopikas were fed and they were very happy. And the men got upset with the wives. That incident I remember. So this is a message for us. What is best to do? Thank you very much.
Thank you, uncle. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So very true, like in what Sitaram also mentioned about the clock. What we do in the repeated good action or bad action, whatever it does, essentially in our how the 60 actions, if we are headed in the ritual sense, we are doing the good action, which will essentially help us traverse in the direction where understanding the significance behind that action comes in. So even as we traverse from karma, bhakti to jnana, or the same explanation also comes in terms of um, essencing one's swabhava, because when we say, I think this was discussed also in one of the satsangs from Media Center, where they talked about watch, and they were talking about when you say watch your character. I think this was one of the things that was discussed, how when we have to essence our swabhava, we can essence our swabhava only through the jnana marga. And so doing constantly the action that will ingrain in us that bhakti, and bhakti essentially the flower of that giving the fruit of jnana, we can see how that also happens. So it's a good way of being constantly engaged in action on the outside. And even as the action happens on the outside, the bhakti and jnana builds on the inside to essentially essence the true reality. Sanjayana, I'm just checking whether these inputs, does that get us somewhere to that jnana of the question you had asked? How is it? Or do you have additional points on that?
No, it's very beautiful. I really liked all the points that were made, and especially the one Sitaram made was very close to, like I had said, Swami did answer it through the week. Very close to what Swami said. He said as karma changes, throughout, but the jnana that's underlying will remain the same, and eventually it'll come through. I think what I was asking was for a good litmus test, and and I think everyone has to go through their um, uh, own own path, or traverse their own journey. But as long as one is sincere, um, the path will become more and more clear. Swami actually summarizes. Media Center had put out, they put out this video shorts, and I think last week, right after the study circle, I think a day later, this came up, and Swami says, "What is jnana?" And jnana is self-knowledge, and so only that um, reasoning which is behind any karma is a valid reasoning. Anything that brings about the highest unifying principle, or demonstrates the highest unifying principle, will be the right reasoning behind any karmic action, whether it's rituals or daily karmas and so on. And anything that any thought, word, deed, or people or objects that divide or bring about, go away from the unifying principle, one has to immediately discard that as not being the right reasoning behind a karma. So yeah, I think all the discussion points were aligned with the same thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Brother Tasan.
Sairam, brother. Then we can say the karma kanda is only talking about our actions, not talking about the Lord or anything, only the actions. Whatever, how to do that one, each one, what is their responsibilities.
Thank you, brother.
Is anything you can add to that one or what? They're not talking about that, talking about the dharma and the actions, what everyone's supposed to do that one. The jnana is a different thing, talking about the Lord. Here, karma kanda is only they're talking about the actions. Is there any other answers for that? Am I wrong or right? You can explain that one too.
So your question, brother, is whether karma kandas are speaking only about karmas, or are they speaking anything beyond that? Is that your question?
No, only talking about actions. Each, each group, brahmacharya or the grahastha or sannyasi or those one, the rules and regulations are there, what they have to do and everything. So that is karma. They are not talking about the Lord's attributes or anything. Is it right or wrong? That's what my answer, question is.
Okay. Okay, Brother Dasan. Yeah, so I see, yes, Uncle Gopalan.
Hi, Ram. I was listening to the Radio Sai program, Maranam, Sparanam Maranam Nididhyasanam, the latest one. And in that topic, we all remember the story of the king asking his his learned scholars, what are the three things to do, best things to do in life? You remember, Satish? What is the right thing to do? So, and none of the scholars are able to answer the question properly. So the king and his soldiers were once traveling through the forest, and they were thirsty, and one of the soldiers got hurt, and then they came to a sadhu's hut, and the sadhu first gave water to the king, and immediately found the soldier injured, so he helped him. He put bandage and all these things. So the king's question, again, he raised the question to the sadhu, what is the best thing to do at any time? And the sadhu replied that whatever you experience is the right thing that to be done. You remember Satish, that story? So
Yes, Uncle, but I'll need some help as well because, I remember the story you're saying. He asks three questions. He says, what is the right action to be done? What is the right time to do it? And one more. And then I think the sage uses that example of him coming and asking for water itself. He says, when you came and asked for water, I gave water to you. I think that's the thing. But what you are getting to with this example, Uncle, sorry, I missed that.
So the question of what to do in anything is, I thought this was an important thing to understand. That was I was trying to say.
Okay, Uncle. Thank you for that. I think the story we can run. Sitaram, you wanted to share that story,
Oh, I'm not sure, Anna. You can go ahead with the story. I have a different.
you can anyway tell. I will also look. I want to tell the exact story.
Okay,
I don't
you
want to
can recollect
dilute
by the
it.
time I finish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think going back to the question, sorry,
No,
Sathya,
if you wanted the sorry, Sitaram, if you wanted the story, I can quickly say the three
you can tell
questions
the
are.
story,
Oh,
Anna.
sure, Anna. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I won't go to the detail of the story, but the three important questions are: who is the best person to help? Right. The second one is, what is the best time to help? And the third one is, what is the best help? So in the case of this story that Uncle was just narrating, it is the person who comes in front of you seeking help is the best person to help. And the best time to help is when they come seeking that. And the third is, what is the help? It's the help that they're asking for. And those are the three questions. And in this case, the sage stops everything and helps the king, and that's how he answers the questions of the king. Thank you, Sita. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
No problem, Anna. I think that is the best help because you came right away and offered the help. We all are in sync with that. So I think going back to Dasan brother's question, if I understood it right, he's asking, is Karma Kanda just describing the way we perform actions and not the attributes of God? So I'm just referring back to the example of the clock. In the clock, though we have seconds, minutes, and hours, still all three are described to measure time. In the same way, Karma Kanda is also describing God through action. So God is across all three kandas. Whatever kanda you take, it is still telling about God only. And a very close example that all of us are familiar is Namakam, where you chant Namakam and you see Namakam is everything about everything that you see around. It could be trees, it could be green trees, it could be twigs, it will be broken rivers, it will be shaven head, it will be full hair. Anything that you see around you is described. A dog, a horse, whatever you see in Prakriti is all mentioned in Rudram, in Namakam. But is it telling only about those things? No. It is telling that I'm not just seeing that, but I'm seeing God inside all of that. And hence, everything around you, along with you, becomes Shiva in the end, with the right understanding. In the same way, Karma Kanda is also designed in such a way, for a starter, probably, to start off doing actions thinking that I'm offering everything unto God. But we are doing that itself is godly, and hence it is reaching again to God only. So I think everything is attribute of God. There is nothing which is separate from God, is what I'm trying to say. Sairam.
Thank you, Sitaram. Yes, Sister Vani.
Sairam, brother. So I just want to add to what Brother Sitaram said. It's also about how we do those karma, with the attitude of nishkama karma, that we are surrendering and dedicating all our actions to God and give all our fruits of the actions to God. And so there is that understanding that whatever karma that we are doing, whatever the actions we are doing, it is that we don't take the ownership of the action, and we also dedicating all the fruits of the actions to God. So that is what I think covered in the Karma Kanda.
Thank you, sister. I'll just go back to what Sanjay Anna asked as the litmus test, and connected to what we are discussing also. The litmus test for every individual, ultimately, I think it comes down to how much have I essenced that love and how much have I been able to share that love. They usually say, what is the proof that it has rained? The proof that it has rained is the ground has got wet. So the proof that the ritual has borne fruit is only when the spring of love in the heart starts flowing, and it should flow in that person themselves, being in that state of love, sharing that love, the way they approach their day-to-day actions itself will start telling whether the tributary or the river of karma is flowing to the ocean of jnana. Because if it is able to essence that, then the person in the way they go about life itself will change, because now the ritual is now helping them to anchor themselves to a higher goal and higher aim. And so the trivialities, what would affect at a basic sense, would start falling aside. So that would be one way of knowing, is the ritual truly anchoring the person to the inner self or inner spring of joy, happiness, love, permanent bliss, whatever we want to call that, versus just doing the ritual as that. And if you see from a scientific aspect, the karma kanda could come down to the materialistic aspects of things, that is matter, and the jnana kanda could be the energy aspect of it, if you have to see the matter and energy. So the whole purpose again is, as what was mentioned, um, even as the karma kanda explains the rituals and what needs to be done, it is for the person performing those rituals to see the spirit behind what is that is being sung, which will lead them to the jnana marga. So it is said and yet not said, Brother Dasan. So in the sense, it is said that it is laid out as rules and injunctions that a person has to follow. But for the person, it's ultimately beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So if they are able to do it at a level which is able to help them to go beyond, then the karma kanda itself essences what is enshrined in jnana. And you'll see that earlier parts of what we discussed also, I think we discussed some part of it earlier, that how certain aspects of jnana kanda also has some bit of karma still mentioned. So it is both ways, it is interconnected. Yeah, any other thoughts on top of this? Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sairam, not anything to add to what you have said, but I was reminded the question that I asked from the last study circle. The Upanishads are being symbolized and worshipped in image form in temple. What is this really referred? I thought I just wanted to understand a little more on that, please. If you can. Uh, comment on that particular sentence would be nice. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, sisters. So anyone wants to provide inputs on that question? The Upanishads are being symbolized and worshipped in image form in temples and in private shrines as a tribute to this universal appeal. That's what is the line there. So how are the Upanishads being symbolized and worshipped in image form? Any thoughts on that?
The Upanishad is part of Veda, right? So it's something kind of is going to come from Veda only. That is my starting point of thinking, but I'm trying to understand a little more. Thank you, Saira.
Sure, sister. Yes, Sister Vani.
I don't know whether this is right, but just answer thing anyway. So Upanishads came from God. So it's word from the God. So it is being symbolized as God, and that's why they've been worshipped. That's what I'm thinking. It was like as if that you are sitting beside Swami and or Guru, you're learning something, and they are the teachings of the guru, and therefore it is equivalent to a guru. Sometimes when some Swami's robe and Swami's padukas and all that we worship because it is from Swami. And similarly, that these are words of wisdom from Swami, and therefore we kind of equaling it to Swami or God in this sense. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Uncle Gopalan.
Sai Ram, the Mahabharata is an extension of the Vedas, and it's also extension of the Upanishads. For example, the Bhagavad Gita and the Vishnu Sahasranamam Namam and few other things are we learn from them. And in the temples, some of the temples, they have messages of the Bhagavad Gita. For example, the Parthasarathi temple is a description of Krishna as a charioteer and Arjuna. So, likewise, in other temples, also all that there, which give messages from the Bhagavad Gita. So, I just want to make a point. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, Uncle. Any other points or inputs on this topic?
Sairam, I have a question, not really in this context, but just to know that what is the difference between Vedas and Upanishads? And my maybe very basic understanding is this one. The essence of Vedas is called as Upanishads. That is my understanding. So I thought maybe the summary, in my, the basic, the very basic understanding, I thought maybe all the essence, the important points are summarized in the Upanishads. But are there any difference between Vedas and Upanishads? Vedas are codified into 4 segments, but this one is different from that one, or maybe codification or classification makes it as Vedas and Upanishads. Can someone shed a little light on this one, if we can? Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Brother Dasan.
Yes, Sai Ram, brother. So the Vedas is not written by anyone. Is heard from the Lord's voice, and Upanishads written by someone. So that's what that people can, who are reading, they can interpret that and everything. Vedas nobody cannot interpret in a different meaning or anything. So this is from the Lord's voice. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, brother. So we still have 2 questions. Yes, Sanjayana.
The previous comment, the Upanishads are part of the Vedas. They are also Shrutis. The way, to Sister Ananti's question, the way Swami has, in very simple terms, differentiated the two is, Swami talks about the Vedas, all of those being Dvaita, and the Upanishads being Advaita. And they are very much part of the Vedas, and they are the culmination in the Vedanta. It's not literally the end of the Vedas, but it's the highest extract from the Vedas is contained in the Upanishads. And another way to understand it also is Veda. The root word of Veda is knowledge. It is the end of knowledge, in the sense it's a point up till which knowledge is needed. Once one has utilized the entire benefit of the Upanishads, then knowledge is no longer needed, because one is Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. One is established in their true self. So that's a demarcated delineation between the two things. But I mean, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago or so, a month ago or so. They might have been written by different sages, but they are not necessarily apart from the Vedas. They are still Shrutis only. Anyone can correct me.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for sharing. Yes, Sitaram.
Hi, Ramana. I second the thought that Sanjayana has mentioned. Upanishads are not written by anybody. They are part of Shrutis, and they are the essence of all Vedas. That's what Swami has mentioned. I think, like he mentioned rightly, we discussed this topic probably, I think, 3 weeks ago. Sister Ananti can refer to that video. One direction is that. And I think someone else also mentioned that Mahabharatas are also extension of Upanishads. Mahabharata and Ramayana are called Itihasas. They are not Upanishads. However, because Bhagavad Gita is there as part of it, it is sometimes said as Gita Upanishad, because it is coming directly from the Lord. And hence, that alone can be classified as Upanishad, because it is again Shruti, as the voice of God, but not a human being. So just want to distinguish that. And I think one line of thought from Upanishads, like Sanjayana mentioned, is it is more inquiry based. There are no stories in that. There is more of questioning, and it continuously questions inwards and takes one towards the self, which is Brahman. And again, the end goal is to become that Brahman, which we are already, but that experience is missing there. And Upanishads help with that. While Itihasas are more story based, which is more, I would say, Dharma in action. Whereas this is Satya with inquiry is Upanishads, while Itihasas like Mahabharata and Ramayana are Dharma in action itself through stories, and which can help lame people like me also to understand what is that Brahman. I'll stop there, Saira.
Thank you. Yes, Auntie.
Upanishads are definitely a part of Vedas. The Vedanta, they are called. And each Veda, Yajurveda, Rigveda, Samveda, each Veda, at the end of it, there are some kind of that part is called Upanishad, where many different different stages have interpreted the essence of that Veda in a dialogue manner, that is a disciple asking the guru to interpret, and the essence of that part is the sage is explaining. Of course, there are many stories in Chandogya. Through the stories only, they are teaching us the essence of that Vedas, that Upanishads. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, what's his name? Yagnavalka, Maitreyi, and Chandogya, that boy who comes and then asks his father. So there are stories also, very interesting stories. In Prashnopanishad, for example, there are 6 students who are coming and asking the guru to explain the essence of the whole Upanishad. They are asking about creation. How did the creation come about? How did the whole universe come out? All these things are discussed in these Upanishads, and they are teaching definitely the Advaita part of it. Mostly it is Advaita part of it which is teaching. Saira.
Thank you, Auntie.
Thank you so much, all brothers and Mani Auntie. But still, one little question is bothering me. Brother Sanjay mentioned that maybe the Vedas, Vedas is all about Dvaidam, and the maybe Upanishads it's about Atvaidam. Maybe I think for a long time I could be wrong. I thought Vedas also it's like Atvaidam. Maybe I never thought about Vedas could be Dvaidam. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all these days Vedas thinking about all the Vedas are are specifically for Atvaidam, maybe the oneness, and the Dvaidam is the dualism. So the maybe very short explanation, maybe whatever brother the Sanjay said, that's absolutely the correct explanation.
Sister, sorry, I don't want to confuse you, and that's not my interpretation. I was just quoting what Swami had said, and it was such a simple explanation Swami had given, so it has stuck with me, and I was just repeating that. I'll see if I can find. I'm sure you're not wrong that since Upanishads is contained in the Vedas, one cannot strictly say that, but I was just quoting what Swami had said, and I'll see if I can find that discourse and have it available next time.
Thank you so much, brother. I firmly believe that you would have been given all of us from a very Swami source, but I thought maybe I have misunderstood all these days. I wanted to correct myself. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sairam, I just echoing the same comment that Brother Sitaram shared. In the last study circle also, we were it was cleared in the discussion that Upanishads is part of Veda, but Veda is it's an essence. The Veda is heard, the Shruti was heard before from the Lord, then they contemplate on the Vedas, and the essence that what is about by meditation and other action, through that they understood the Veda clearly. That is becoming as an Upanishad. That's why the way it's a part of Veda kind of we studied last study cycle. So I just wanted to clarify that. And the other thing is the rest of the things already the Mahabharata and all is Idikasa kind of mentioned. It was written by somebody, but Veda and the Vedanta is a Upanishad because of their driving from Vedam, whatever they heard, that's coming as an like a understanding the essence. Is an Upanishad, is an the end of it kind of. So that's I thought of sharing it. Thank you, my understanding. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, sister. So a couple of things. One is Vedanga and another is Vedanta. Vedanga are limbs of Veda, and there are 6 forms of what the angas or the limbs of Veda, how one needs to study the Veda. That is one. Vedanta, it is the end portion of the Vedas. It is actually Anantovai Veda because the Vedas are endless. But now if you are saying Vedanta, the end, it is the distilled essence of Vedanta, which is encapsulated in Upanishads, which is what I think when Sanjayana mentioned about the Advaita, it is taking again the person from Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita to Advaita. And that when one goes to Advaita, they are able to essence it in Vedanta through the Upanishads. That is what is happening. And if we see, we read this even in Ramakatha Rasavahini, where already Rama and the brothers had studied all the Vedas and everything at sage Vashishta's ashram. They come back and Dasharatha says, now they got some bit of Apara Vidya, and so we have to go into Paravidya. So that's where, or beyond the realm of what even the Vedas are. That's where we got into that discussion of, oh, then are Vedas also part of, are they limiting or are they really connecting to the self? We had that discussion also. So that is one aspect. The second is what was also discussed is Upanishad. It is basically what Sister Vani also mentioned. Upanishad, you're going, Upa is near, is sitting near, sitting where? Sitting near the something that is Nirguna Nirakara, is encapsulated as Saguna Sakara, which is where the symbolized thing, what Sister Aruna was asking about, how are the Upanishads symbolizing and worshipped in image form, is nothing but the Nirguna Nirakara, which is the attributeless and the formless. From that stage of Advaita, the Upanishads help to cognize at the same time and help give a symbol, give an image to that deity, whether we say Ganesha, Shiva, and so on. They ultimately help. It is like the to and fro journey, taking people from Dvaita all the way till Advaita. And at the same time, for beginners, that Advaita, it helps them cognize as Dvaita. That is where the image worship or that symbolism, what we see in temples and all of that come. When we chant Ganesha Tarvasirsham, clearly we say, we describe how Ganesha's red color is, right? We talk about the whole. So even if we see how the bijas are there, which are for each of the 7 chakras that are there, the Mooladhara chakra is represented by the bija Gam, and Gam stands for Gam Ganapataye Namaha. So that absolute, the same thing of what was Shrutis, it comes as a bija, as a sound form, and that sound also helps to encapsulate a name and form, which comes as Ganapati, or we tell any of these other Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, even the Surya, all of these things that we say, they help to cognize that Vedantic principle of what truly stands as Advaita. It helps them to be captured as symbolism, so that even when you have that sugarcane juice, it is made into sugar, and so the ant can taste that sugar. How can that ant taste that sugar? It has to go near that sugar, which is what is Upanishad. It is able to go, and so when that devotee is able to essence the absolute as Ganesha, they relate to Ganesha or that divinity, divine essence in that form. Somebody essences it as Shiva, somebody essences that as Shakti. So ultimately, they help in that way of cognition also. But I'll pause here if anyone has any other thoughts, comments, or inputs on top of this.
Saira.
Yes,
Sarah,
Auntie.
go ahead.
Eleni, go ahead.
No, Auntie, you go first.
No, please, you go.
I was just going to say regarding Anandi Auntie's question, I think Erno Uncle often quotes this Gita shloka, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. So the Vedas are full of the 3 gunas, correlating it to Dvaita. And then regarding the fact, the question Aruna Auntie raised about the Upanishads or what's being worshipped, I was just thinking about it from a point of view that, say, people from other religions, they might look at this idol worship or this ritual worship as something very, immature or unripe. Even if we go to bhajans and we're, sitting in front of Swami's photo and we're praying, I think if we didn't feel anything or if we didn't experience anything elevating, then we wouldn't be going there. I think the only reason we go and is because we feel some sort of bliss or we experience something during bhajan. And it's that experience really that we're worshiping. So that's kind of my understanding of that sentence of what's really being worshipped is the Upanishads. It's that highest truth. So even through study circles, all of these knowledge that we're gaining, then after we learn this, then we go to bhajans, then we get even, a higher, more elevated experience. And it's that experience that I feel that that's what's being worshipped. And I think maybe that's what's one of the meanings of that sentence, that really what's being worshipped is the Upanishads.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Auntie.
Okay. Just I want to add one more thing. From Advaita, we know that there is Nirakara, Nirguna, Parabrahman. It is very difficult for a common person to imagine that kind of Nirakara Brahman. So it is for the convenience of all of us, then we just come from Nirakara to Sakara Brahman, so that it has got a form like Ganesha, Shakti or Shiva, so that it is easier for us to concentrate and contemplate upon that idol or that deva, that daivata. Sorry, so that we can concentrate upon the sakara form, and it is easier for us to worship them. So actually, that sentence where Kalini was explaining, the Upanishads in the form of idols are present in the temples or in our homes also. So that it is helping us to worship them, and then try to understand the essence of the Upanishads is there in that. Sairam.
Thank you, Auntie. Any other thoughts or inputs? I think just to add to what Auntie and sister were saying, I think Swami has also referred about yantra, tantra, and mantra, and how so you have a yantra, it could be like a design, a geometric pattern kind of a thing, and that in that yantra, through mantra and the process, the tantra that is there, you can it is cognizing, whether we call it as the nama rupa. The nama rupa is helping to essence the Sachidananda or Asti Bhati Priyam, which is what is nothing but the Vedanta or Upanishad is talking about. What that Asti Bhati Priyam or Sachidananda, that is what it's being talked about in the Advaitic sense, and the name and form is helping to essence that. So that is what we worship, so that anyone, whether it's a child to anyone, they can relate to what is there as a name and a form, and then essence the sweetness behind that name and form. We have about 2 minutes. Just checking if anyone had any other inputs to share. And I think, Sanjana, you have shared that link also in the chat for anybody to have a look at that. Thank you for that. Any other points? Or should we just read the next paragraph and leave it at that for next week? People can contemplate on that paragraph and come back.
The Vedas are endless, Ananto vai Vedaha, but they were reduced into 4 collations and their essence were preserved in those forms. For promoting peace and prosperity in the world, the 4 were then taught and propagated. They are the Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharvana Vedas. They uphold dharma, righteousness, proclaim the reality, and promote peace and harmony by developing among men the attitudes of worship, music, and adoration, and also by the cultivation of skill in weaponry and war. They present the ideal before mankind and exhort them to follow.
Thank you, sister. Auntie, should we read the Telugu
I don't
one?
know.
Or should we wait next time?
Wait for next time because translation will take some more time.
Yes, Auntie. We can.
Okay, we can do it next week.
Yes, Auntie. So I think it's 4:30 now. So we can close with Om Shanti and then come back next week for the satsang again. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.